Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow, so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our V.I.P featured guest is the founder and CEO of Haute in Texas, an award-winning PR and marketing agency, which has grown from scratch into a multiple six figures business. She graduated with honors playing Division I volleyball at Western Kentucky University and obtained her master's from Gonzaga University. Looks like there's a bit of March Madness that you might want to mention in a minute. She serves on various boards for a wide variety of nonprofits, and in 2022 launched Haute in Network Agencies, and that is a franchise model to help other women own their own agencies. She and her college sweetheart, Orlando, have two girls who currently reside in San Antonio, Texas. Silhouettes, let's welcome Aquila Mendez-Valdez to the show. Hello, Aquila. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Amber?
I am fantastic. Thank you for taking time. It's so wonderful to be with you and connect with you as you share a portion of your Silhouette of Success story. So welcome once again.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you. All right. So let's have you begin. Did a quick little bio, snippets of the bio, but to help illustrate the shaping of your Silhouette of Success for our audience, how about you share a little bit more about your background?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I actually grew up in Indiana. My dad is a farmer and my mom helped him with the family business. So I grew up very much seeing the life of an entrepreneur from a very young age. And then when I went away to college, I met my husband. He is born and raised from San Antonio, Texas. So we moved down here after I got married and then started my business a few years later, but really have kind of just slowly but surely grown over the years. Been very blessed to have a great roster of clients that we've built up slowly but surely. And it's been a fun ride for sure.
And we're going to let you jump into all about your business and what you do. Let's talk a little bit about how, we look at each other, as women, we think, okay, we all have 24 hours, if you will, in the day. Mm-hmm. So we might look and think, oh my gosh, how does she do it? How does she get everything done and handle this and that and the customers, the business, the clients, the family? So the alarm clock goes off. Mm-hmm. Your work or business day begins. What does a day in the life look like for you? Would you say you're more structured? Do you like routine? Are you more spontaneous? Talk to us.
Yeah, I'd say I'm very structured, very much type A. My day usually kicks off kind of in mom mode first, getting my two daughters to school, getting them up and going. And then I usually, get to the office not too long after they're off on their way for their day. We just moved into an office space for our agency a couple months ago. And so that's been really fun to have an actual place to go and have a little bit even more structure to this is my work life and this is my home life. So that's been really nice. I am very much all about my calendar, all about tracking, every minute of every day. But yeah, I think I'm very fortunate to that I have a huge extended family here in San Antonio. So if there's questions about how I do it all, it always goes back to them, and being able to have such a huge village of support to help me do mom life and help me do all the things. So I certainly, would not be able to achieve half the things that I have without them.
Let's just stay on that train of thought real quick since you brought that up, because that's a typical question that I know our audience is always curious about. And especially as whether it be, the leader and you're the CEO and the boss, if you will, how do you as an entrepreneur and in the role that you play for the business, where do you turn to for support? And you've touched on it right there. Can you expand a little bit about your support or your network groups?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I'm really fortunate to be a part of a lot of different groups in San Antonio for women, for business owners. We have a women's founders network, and then we also have the National Association of Women Business Owners. That's the second largest chapter actually in the country here in San Antonio. And I serve on that board and very involved with that organization. So those types of, networks and groups that can kind of lift each other up, not to mention all of the, amazing women that I work with on a daily basis on our team or part of our, strategic partners that are all women. They're all rocking it and doing such an amazing job with their specialties and what they're really good at, that it just sort of empowers you to feel like, okay, if I can look to my left and look to my right and see other strong women who are juggling just as not as much, if not more, and they're, able to find success, I can do that too.
That's excellent because it's so important. And it's interesting. Sometimes, maybe you would agree with me on this. I have found that even by being in the room and observing or the proximity, to others that are doing such amazing things, might answer questions I didn't realize I had somewhere, whether it be by osmosis, right? Or mentorship or examples.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. I really love, that's part of the reason that I love Nowbo, because women are at all different stages of their business, whether it's just still ideation or whether they're a legacy family business that's been around for generations already and they're, CEO now that have worked to that point. So it's really cool, I think, to see, not just that you can reach down and pull somebody back up with you, but also to look ahead and say, okay, that's where I want to get to. And having that example to follow is, invaluable as well.
Who do you think, or maybe it was what influenced you the most embarking on your business journey and the path that you found yourself in right now?
hmm I think my parents have always, like I said, owned their own business. And so I wasn't necessarily scared to be an entrepreneur. But I think having my husband's support and knowing that he had my back and believes in me sometimes more than I believe in myself gave me that sort of extra confidence that I could do it and that, I was capable of doing that with all of the other family responsibilities that I have. So I was actually pregnant with my second daughter when I decided to go off on my own. And really she was kind of the moment where it was like, okay, if I'm going to have, two little girls, if I'm going to be working super hard and still want to pursue my own passions, I want to be doing it for the clients that I choose, that I'm excited about. And that really made a big difference for me, making that decision at that point in my life.
Such clarity in how you share that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it definitely is something that from hindsight, you realize what
Mhm.
was giving you some strength behind the scenes. Even at the time, if you're still terrified, you start to realize.
Right, and a little determination in there too. I
Yeah.
enjoy hearing just it's always fun and fascinating for me, when you hear the excitement in someone else's voice when they talk about what they're doing. So it sure sounds like you are utterly fulfilled by your work.
Yeah, I think, PR and marketing is great because it's literally telling people's stories, and that's what I love to do. I love to write, I love to read. I've always, felt like that was one of my passions. So the fact that I get to weave that into my everyday job is phenomenal. And then, the flip side is that we're not working for, HVAC and plumbing companies. We're doing very cool, exciting businesses that just absolutely knock our socks off every day
Yeah.
with, the innovations that they're doing or the cause work that they're involved with. Just top to bottom, all of our clients inspire us day to day. And that really is a huge, huge difference maker for us.
And that's energizing in itself, just to get that boost of, someone else's great ideas and to help them take it to that next level. So
Yeah.
exciting for you.
Mhm.
If you get stuck, because, sometimes I'm realizing not everybody, gets stuck, but if there's maybe a barrier between you and a goal, or you're looking to maybe break through to get to that next level of a goal or dream, do you have any best practices, even on the minutia scale of it, or something big that you can think of?
Yeah. Well, I think, I always like the phrase eat the frog. That's kind of a common, I guess, business, sort of phrase where, the saying goes that if you eat a frog in the morning, that's the worst thing that'll happen to you all day. So, whatever it is about a goal or about a task or about, your day to day schedule, there's always, it seems like something that you're sort of dreading a little bit, that you're feeling like, I just can't get past that one task or that moment. And I always find that if I can discipline myself enough to tackle that and get over that hump, then I feel that rush of energy and excitement and renewed sort of sense of purpose afterwards, where it has that sort of breakthrough moment. So usually for me, there's something that I'm kind of holding back and avoiding. And if I go ahead and just tackle it head on, then I definitely feel a very big sense of re-energization, if that's a full word, after that.
We're gonna make it. This is your call. You can say whatever you want.
Awesome.
Love that. Um, Thinking through, because I would suspect your days, while they are high energy and exhilarating and all of those things, there might be times where after, just because that's putting your all into it. You just do, and especially when you're doing it to help promote or enhance or boost somebody else.
Mhm.
That's pretty impressive. A lot of responsibility. So, how do you rest or reset your mindset maybe after an emotionally exhausting day or situation? Do you have any best practices that work for you?
Yeah. Well, I actually just got back from a retreat, a faith based retreat that required us to give up our phones and our watches for the
Oh,
entire weekend.
nice.
Not just the phone, but the watch as well was a little twist I was not expecting, but it was actually really nice.
Uh-huh.
And, what I had started to do previous to the retreat was started putting my phone further away from it's not next to my bedside table anymore, because I would sort of let my brain kind of kick on in the middle of the night, and then it would be too tempting to just then, let me just think about this, or let me just tackle this, or let me knock this out. So I moved my phone. It's across the room. It's not even to where I could, reach across and get it really quickly. And I think that's helped me truly rest and kind of reset a little bit so that I'm fresh in the morning when I do step back into the office. And then I think I'd like to, from this retreat, kind of take that to heart that, it's okay to step away from my phone. It's okay to not have access to that 24/7. And we also, as part of our client agreement, whenever we have a new client coming on board, we have an expectations agreement as far as boundaries that, in PR and marketing, a lot of people assume that I'm going to have access to your cell phone. I'm going to have access to you at all hours of the day. And so we just like at the very front of a relationship to establish this is how often you can expect us to respond to things. This is when we will respond. This is when we will not respond. If there is an emergency, here's what, we will be expected to do. But, we want to make sure to be very clear and upfront about that in the beginning. And we tell them, this is for your benefit and ours, because if our team is constantly being pinged and asked to spread themselves thin at all hours of the day, they're not giving their best when they can. They're not feeling that creative inspiration as often. So we've been very fortunate that most of our clients respect those boundaries, and that makes everybody happy for sure.
That is stellar to have that communication on the front side.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a lot harder to backtrack afterwards. So we've tried to start making that a very clear part of the process, onboarding from day one.
Giving yourself the permission to have those boundaries.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Talking through maybe, and that's a big one you just mentioned. Positive adjustments that maybe you've made in your life or your environment to help support your growth goals and dreams. Because again, we're about to get into launching your business and all of the things that you've done. So, can you think of any positive adjustments, although you've just mentioned two, to help support you throughout this growth?
Yeah, I think every time that we have signed on to do a coaching program or an accelerator program, any kind of like training, piece, it's always scary to make that investment as a business owner because that's coming out of your funds. That's not like you have this giant corporation that has a continuing education budget that you can, go to all the things with. But when we've made those investments as a small business, it has always paid off in a really big way. So I always encourage, entrepreneurs, if you feel like you have a good connection with a coach or with a accelerator program, take advantage of those because they really truly do create those sort of breakthrough moments where you see that leveling up moment, and that's always critical for sure to kind of continue to feel excited about the direction of your business.
Talk to us about your company and the inspiration that led you to create and launch it, along with you have some magnificent and notable milestones and accolades that were mentioned in your full bio, but I don't include those because I always want you to be able to share that goodness with our audience. So, talk to us a little bit about the company and then share some good stuff with us.
Yeah. So we started actually as a blog back in 2011. My husband and I had just gotten married. We were moving down to San Antonio, and I really didn't know anybody. So I started Oat in Texas really to kind of build my network, to discover new friends and new connections. And as it grew, I was working for another agency. And then about, 3 or 4 years after, having run the agency or run the blog separately, I decided, like I said, when I was pregnant with my second daughter, to go off on my own and start having my own clients under the same name, Oat in Texas, but to bring the blog and the agency kind of under one roof. So we did that, and then have grown and hired on some team after a few years. We now have a team of about seven, depending on contractors and everybody that kind of comes and goes for different projects. But we have a good team now. We just opened our new offices, like I said, a few months ago. So that was another big milestone for us. And we won different awards and built up a lot of really cool clients and client lists, I guess. But yeah, it's been a process. And then the franchise concept was something that we wanted to do as our sort of long-term scalability, so that eventually we'll hopefully have agency locations all over under the still Oat in name. So everybody would have the Oat in Dallas, Oat in Houston, Oat in Austin, and then expand from there. So that's sort of our long-term vision, and very, I guess, pie in the sky, but we have full faith that it's a dream that's going to be fully realized as well.
Well, I think it's going to happen.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
right? Yes, you've got to think big, and you've already shared what you've accomplished, so I think the sky's the limit and then some. Talk to us a little bit, share some of your notable, you've had some great collaborations with your blog and clients. Anything that you want to share on that aspect or different features that you've been shared with?
Sure. Yeah. We've worked with a lot of different brands, particularly, on the blog, had a lot of really cool experiences come our way to be able to, like, for example, travel to LA with Lincoln. They took us out and got a huge experience to see one of their new vehicles launched a few years ago. That was really, really phenomenal experience. And just this past year, we were very fortunate to be featured in a Forbes article and Digiday, which is a local, or not local, but an industry publication for PR and marketing, and had an article featured there as well. So yeah, a lot of momentum here in the last year or so, that's been really exciting. But sometimes it's kind of cool just to look back and think like, wow, I forgot we did that, or oh my gosh, yeah, that was really cool too. So very fortunate for sure.
And hard work, hard work, hard work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. So this might be more of a two-part question. Can you pinpoint or think of a specific time, event, or key situation in your professional life that did force you to really take a hard shift or monumental change within your business or career? And with that result, whether it was positive or painful, how did going through that help you grow?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've always been very fortunate that we have not necessarily specialized in a particular niche as far as industry for our clients. But with that being said, at the beginning of 2020, we did have a good amount of clients who needed to pause because of the pandemic. Their businesses were shut down, or they were, scared, and as everybody was, needed to pause. And I think that was scary for us. I mean, that was a significant portion of revenue that dropped off pretty rapidly. And so we could have, gotten scared and just walked away and kind of closed up our doors as well, as a lot of businesses did. But I think number one, we were already a remote agency, so it wasn't a bad pivot for us to go ahead and shift to doing all of our meetings virtual. And then number two, I think we had a really strong team that stuck it out and didn't let fear take over their minds as well. And so we made it through. We were very fortunate to still grow in 2020 and have an increase in revenue. And that was not the case for a lot of small businesses that year. So we feel very blessed to have made it through that. And I think now, we're in a place again where people are nervous about the economy and they're cutting back budgets. And, it's something where we feel like now we've been here, we're all right, we're going to make it through. We're very, conscious about being smart financially and being sort of a lean and mean machine from the get go. So I think we've built that tenacity now that will serve us well, hopefully.
That's extraordinary, extraordinary. Great stewards. It sounds like both of your business bottom line and your clients. I can already tell that you would be looking out for them on that. Just wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
When do you feel your greatest sense of satisfaction?
I would say when I have moments like, for example, this retreat where I had to step away, or if I have my daughter's birthday last week, or I've got to go on a field trip or things like that. Not got to get to go on a field trip, right? The
Yes,
thrill of chaperoning.
of course.
When I have those moments and my
Mhm.
team is able to step up and every client issue is handled, every fire is put out, and I come back to an inbox that's full but not necessarily frantic. I
Yeah.
think that is a huge sense of satisfaction for me, that we've gotten to that point where I can step away, I can do what I need to do for my family, and I know my team's got my back. And then I do the same for them when they've got moments where they need to be present for their family, or be on a trip and truly unplug. So I think that's a really huge testament to the strength of our team, and makes me feel fantastic for sure.
What feeds your soul?
Oh boy. I
Now we're going deep.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I just got back, like I said, from a Christian retreat. So definitely feel like, my faith brings me a lot of joy and a lot of purpose. And then I think connecting is a huge, huge energizer for me. All the time, especially with like journalists or with clients, or, the business community here in San Antonio, there's not even always a financial benefit to me to saying like, okay, you need to know this person, and I need to make sure that I get you guys hooked up. That to me is such a thrill to do for other people. And it always comes back around in some way or another. It's one of those things where I fully believe that if you are putting good things out into the world, that good things come back around to you. And so I've always seen that if I am willing to go and bend over backwards for somebody else, one day, a door opens for me the next day, or, something is kind of coming down the pipeline. And it just is a very, very rewarding feeling for me, for sure.
Full circle. Full
Yeah.
circle. Yay. All right, Aquila, we're going to take a quick break to hear from this episode sponsor, Have to Pay These Bills, and we'll be right back.
Beauty is not limited to our outside appearance. It's inside us. It's our professional lives and our personal passions. It's in our health and wellness, our families, friends, and loved ones. Ask Us Beauty Magazine is content designed to educate, empower, and inspire individuals on all things beauty and wellness. We do this by bringing together people of all backgrounds to share their stories, leaving you with inspiration for living your best life. Whether it's through products, services, procedures, and personal brands, we challenge the status quo. Our mission is to change the narrative, allowing each and every one of us to define beauty on our own terms. Visit us today at askusbeautymagazine.com.
All right, my lady, we are back, and I'm watching the clock, and I want to sneak in a couple more important ones because, again, I want to let the audience learn and hear as much as we can in this time that we have together. We all crave great resources, whether it's to help inspire, uplift, expand our minds. And I always tease, but it's a genuine tease. Sometimes get us through the day. Do you have, you mentioned reading and writing and some of the passions earlier. Do you have a favorite book or author? Anybody that you'd want to share? A resource? Any podcasts, audibles? Anything you'd want to share with us? You mentioned coaching earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What would you share?
Oh, wow. We do a lot of consulting and sort of helping, come up with more of a strategic communications plan for a lot of different businesses. And I always recommend a few different books whenever we're doing that, just to kind of help a lot of founders who are kind of in that murky, just starting to figure out what this thing is that I want to start place. So a lot of times I will recommend the book Traction, that basically outlines the EOS system, and you can get an EOS coach that can really dig into that for you. But Traction is a great overview of sort of the operating system basically for a business. So I highly recommend that. I love Simple Numbers. It's a great book for somebody like myself who hates math and hates worrying about the profit and loss statements and all of the things. I mean, that's not my favorite thing to do, but Simple Numbers breaks it down to be very manageable and give you a very concrete direction of, here's how we're going to lay this out. Here are the numbers to watch. And now you don't have to think about it anymore. So I love that. Love Simple Numbers. And then Good to Great by Jim Collins, I think, is another great book, especially if you're on the other side of it, where maybe it's not just an idea, but maybe you've already been running this business for 5-10 years and you're kind of feeling stuck. It's a great book to get you into that sort of next gear of running your business. And I think it just has so many phenomenal anecdotes and lessons to learn from other people who have gone before you and transformed their companies into something really, truly remarkable.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. The time is flying.
It
This
is.
is all such greatness. As we begin to wrap up, and it's been absolutely exhilarating and fantastic connecting with you and hearing so much about what you're doing and keeping the promise to share intentional inspiration with our audience. Do you have a piece of key go-to advice that you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, I always share with other women I think it's Nora Ephron that first said, you always get asked, how do you juggle it all? And she came up with the great anecdote of, you have to understand when you are juggling which balls are rubber and which balls are glass. And when you give yourself permission to understand that some of these things that you're juggling if you need to let things drop or you need to let things kind of go for a minute to be able to focus on a different area, there's some of those, responsibilities, those balls that are going to bounce and be okay. And it's not the end of the world to say no or to say not right now. I can't handle that at the moment. And then you can really focus on the ones that are glass, the non-negotiables, my kids or my husband or, these other aspects of my life that I'm not willing to compromise on. It's okay to have some of those, those things that you do go ahead and walk back on responsibilities a bit in order to just make it all work. So that's always my favorite. It helps me on a day-to-day basis let go of some of that guilt, and hopefully it'll help your listeners as well.
Well, you just helped me. So,
Yeah.
so I've not heard that. That is
Yeah.
beautiful and practical,
Yeah.
applicable, all of those wonderful things. Oh, goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right, my lady, the stage is completely yours here. Where can our audience go to find and either connect with you or follow and support you in your continued success? Check out your business to become a potential client. So feel free to share your socials, contact information. It is completely yours.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to chat. I mean, I'm always an open door. And I think the easiest way to find us is to go to our website. It's HITPR.com. And then we're on social everywhere at Haute in Texas. So it's HAUTEIN and then Texas spelled all the way out. So would love to connect, would love to, stay in touch for sure. And happy to help any way I can.
Perfect. And just a reminder to the audience, and so you know, all of that contact information will be right there in the resource section of the show notes. So it's just one click away for them to get to you.
All right. Fabulous.
All right. Aquila, thank you once again. It has been just so enjoyable and uplifting. Thank you for sharing your Silhouette of Success story with us. And you are brilliant and light. And I am so honored to have connected with you and showcase you. So thank you once again for taking time to spend with us today.
Thank you. It was absolutely my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.